Good morning, everyone. Dr. T here. I am just going to do a quick check on LinkedIn. Am I good to go? Let me see. Stand by. Stand by. All right, we are live. Okay, so we're going to get started in a couple minutes, but I wanted to log on a little early as this is a new show that my team and I are doing on LinkedIn Live. It will be on Facebook and YouTube as well, but we're mostly focusing here on LinkedIn with our audience on LinkedIn. And it is called Your Health is Your Business. Now, we're not talking about the business of health. We're talking about your health mattering to you, and it needs to be your business to know what's going on. Because guess what? It's not a nice to have, it's a need to have, and it impacts how you show up every day. Now, that being said, before we even get started, well, I'll just share a little news on what's going on with the Larson households. So my family, we are moving here pretty soon, so it's very barren in my office. In 2 weeks, well, I will not be actually giving the show in 2 weeks. Dr. Marissa Rescott will be giving a talk on sleep and your testosterone. Yeah, women and men. Yes, sleep impacts everything, but guess what? It impacts your testosterone big time. So we're going to talk about that in 2 weeks. But the Larsons will be moving to a new home, a log cabin here in Southwest Colorado, which is really exciting. Skelly is coming with us. I've got part of Skelly's bones here in front of me and ligaments, and then half of his body is right here. He's doing just fine. Now, no pun intended, but this show also ideally will help give you a leg up in how you perceive your health and well-being and how it impacts those around you, to include your family, your coworkers, and all that. And this show is actually meant to be super simple in terms of time. So every other week on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, so 8 Pacific Standard Time, 11 Eastern Time, this is when the show is going to go live. And it'll go live for 20 or 30 minutes. The content we present is about 15, 20 minutes in nature, and then we'll leave room for Q&A. All right, so make sure if this topic today is more of an intro, but any of the topics that are coming up, if you have questions about them, please put them in the comments. And if we don't get to them during the show, we will get to them after the show. All right, it is 9 o'clock. So let's get this party started, shall we? Skelly, you ready? Okay, he's ready. All right, so your health is your business. So one of the big things that my company, Movement RX, so Movement RX is a company I founded. I'm the president of Movement RX. It's a global well-being company. Now, I'm a doctor of physical therapy by trade, yet I do not do traditional PT anymore. Neither does any of my team. And the reason being is that we focus our efforts on the preventative side of well-being and the performance side of well-being versus just reacting to symptoms, diagnoses. We work to help people shift their lifestyles. So one, they enjoy their life in the now, but they also enjoy the longevity and the long-term benefits of changing their well-being lifestyle. So while we do focus big time on movement and mindfulness, there's a sleep component, a food component, and also a connection component to what we teach. And Movement RX's vision, my company's vision, is to give you and your people the knowledge and tools to live a lifetime of physical and emotional freedom. That is our why. We want to impact. Our job is to impact you so much, inspire you so much, that the tools that you learn from us are very actionable, and if you apply them each day, will change the course of your life. Because your health is your body's health, your mind's health is the thing that carries you through life. So if those things are healthy, you're going to experience life in a whole new light and be more empowered. And who doesn't want that? Well, if you didn't want that, you probably wouldn't be listening. So if you want that, keep listening. And if this is something that resonates with you, share this. please share this video on your feed, share it with someone you love, uh, share my information with them, right? Please reach out in the private message. I would love to connect with you if some of this is resonating with you. All right, so here's the problem that we see, right? It's one thing to provide people tools, but the problem that we see is that our well-being, our self-care, which is our greatest form of healthcare, is often lost when we get stressed or we feel burned out or just, life gets in the way. If we have families, children, spouses, partners, running a business, working in a business, uh, in this hybrid environment where you're maybe in the office a little bit, but you're also at home or you're full time at home, whatever it is, what happens when these other things take precedence in our life or we're just responding to them, reacting to the fires in our life, what goes out the door first? Our health, right? Maybe it starts with sleep. Maybe we start to get less sleep because at night you just need to binge watch on Netflix, or you start drinking more at night, or maybe it's movement. You stop exercising, you're going to the gym as much, right? Or not even the gym, you just stop exercising. Maybe you like Zumba, right? I really don't care what kind of exercise you get, I just care that you get it. Or maybe it's your food. You start to emotionally eat more when you're stressed, right? Or mindlessly eating, where you're eating food in front of the TV. Or maybe instead of going out with some quality friends, you just go out and schmooze and booze, right? Which isn't necessarily, it's fun every once in a while, but if those are the people, you're always hanging out with people who want to schmooze and booze, that's not necessarily quality connection. So when life throws us storms or gets stressed, or we have things that come up that we feel take precedence in our life, we have to react to them and put out the fires, then our health goes out the door for us. That is the problem. Yet the very thing that allows us to show up and be calm and efficient and make good and clear decisions and feel happier even in the midst of storms is our well-being. And so it can't be a nice to have. It needs to be a must have. Like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the bottom layer is food, sleep, shelter, air. Well, we get those things most likely, but not quality. Maybe shelter, yes, but air, a lot of us are anxious breathers, chest breathers, right? Sleep, a lot of us are underslept. And you'll learn that from one of our colleagues, Dr. Marissa Rescott. Food, a lot of inflammatory foods, right? If you just look online, there's our food industry, it's a business, obviously. And so being mindful about what we put in our bodies is really important because it will impact our mood. So the solution to this is helping you make your well-being a key indicator in your life. Key KPI, essentially, key performance indicator. Like, this needs to be your necessity to becoming and being a better leader, whether you're leading a family, yourself, right, or your organization. So, and here's the thing, as leaders, right, if you run a company, if you have a family, right, people are watching you, or people are watching. Your example matters, and your health actually is contagious. There's some studies that point to how called this thing called social contagion. Our health is contagious. How we show up is contagious. And there's this term, this phrase that I like to use: our actions speak louder than our words. So if 80% of our communication is nonverbal, how we're showing up each day and responding to the things in front of us, and just how we look and act and be with other people says a lot about us. So this is where, when people make comments, when people just love to sit by their computers and make nasty comments or good comments, regardless, it still is it's a reflection on that person. However you make comments online or respond to people is a direct reflection on you. Don't forget that. All right, so I want to show you a couple things here just to give you an idea of more in-depth description of our why. So give me a sec. All right. Okay. Un momento. Okay, here we go. Okay, so with blind spots, so the one of the things, I'm not going to bore you to death with a PowerPoint presentation. It's just I have a few things to show you. So to kind of highlight my approach and why we're doing this show in the first place. So the blind spot, one of the blind spots, right? Blind spots are you don't know what you don't know. And so one of the key blind spots, I mentioned it earlier, was that a lot of times leaders, we, whether regardless if we're a leader or not, don't realize that how we are impacts everyone around us. Is contagious, right? So that doesn't mean you have to put on a mask every day, but be authentic and real and be aware. So if I'm having a bad day or not a great day, I'm struggling with something, I will let the people around me that I'm working with or my friends know I'm having a rough day versus trying to hide it, right? Because hiding it can make it worse for us and the people around us, to include our kids and family, especially. So a blind spot is becoming more aware of the fact that our example matters and it's contagious, right? So how are we showing up? But the other blind spot is that the symptoms that we see in the workplace, the symptoms that we see in our own selves and our family, uh, there's a cause to those symptoms, right? Let's say it's burnout or low back pain or um, negativity in the workplace, right? Like those things, those are symptoms, and we call those lagging indicators. And it's a blind spot for us because the causes of the trajectory of those symptoms or diagnosis are oftentimes harder to see. And so if you look at this um, image, right, symptoms, what people see are the lagging indicators, right? The absenteeism, presenteeism, low back pain, chronic pain, burnout, low engagement, not feeling seen, lack of focus, right? You can all see those things, but the causes underneath the surface, we call those leading indicators, the things that they're the trajectory of how those symptoms come about or those diagnoses or problems, right? So not enough planned and unplanned movement, right? Are we walking enough? Are we sitting all day? Right? That's going to definitely impact our pain. That's going to impact our attention and focus, our motivation. So lack of quality or inconsistent social support. So if your boss is emailing you all hours of the day and you're constantly on Zooms and you don't have breaks, that's going to lead to problems like burnout, right? If there's a negative culture or you're getting emails all hours of the night and you're expected to be responding, right? There's this expectation of responding right away. That's going to lead to burnout. But oftentimes we only, like when burnout is assessed, it's like burnout is a lagging indicator and it's assessed that way, where we need to look at the trajectory of how that lagging indicator comes about. And so those are the things that we don't see, and oftentimes a blind spot. So even that's why looking at your sleep hygiene. How much are you sleeping? Right? If people are on Zooms all day long and their boss is emailing them expecting an email back, do you think they're going to get good sleep? No. Let your people have a break. Give your people a break. Let them sleep. Let them get the well-being, because you know what? Their attention to detail, productivity, focus is going to be better. If you care about their well-being, it's going to be better. But first, you got to care about your own. So this is a big blind spot that we see in individuals themselves, but especially in the workplace. And so how, I'll just dive into a couple of these. Let's look at low back pain. We all know that low back pain is, 8 in 10 adults will experience low back pain in their lifetime. It's a lot. It's a billion-dollar industry. Now, low back pain is a lagging indicator. Right? So if you look at the causes of low back pain, let's look at movement. Right? You sit all day. And what do you sit on? Your glutes. And what are the things that protect your lower back? The glutes. So if your glutes, you're sitting all day and your hips are getting tight because we adapt to the positions we hold, that's going to impact your lower back. Right? There's a lot of compression on the discs when you sit as well. Sleep, right? If you're chronically underslept, right, that's going to create more inflammation in the body, and it's not going to allow your body to fully recover. Sleep boosts everything. Eating, if you're eating inflammatory foods, that's going to exacerbate the pain you already have. If you're adding on weight each year, let's say 10, 15 pounds a year, right, that extra weight is putting pressure on the lower back. Let's look at social support. If you don't have quality friendships and they're causing you some stress, right, that creates more tension in your body, which does not help with the low back pain, right, and can exacerbate a problem that's already there. And then finally, with mindset, if you're not training your mind, right, just like we train our body to be healthier, well, our body is going to impact our mind. If we're not also training our mind, which is going to impact the body to be calmer, right, you're going to just accrue tension. And so meditation, there's actually some studies around meditation, many studies around meditation. If you just meditate 10 minutes a day, right, that can decrease the unpleasantries of pain by 57%. And this is over the course of 8 weeks. It can also decrease your pain response, the intensity of pain by 40%. So what would that do for you in your life? So meditation, while it's seen as more of a mindset, training your mind, improving your mental health, it can very much decrease tension in your body, decrease the stress you hold on to, right? Which will help calm the body, calm the tissue. Just like movement will also help create a clearer mind and help wake up the mind, actually. So those are the components that can lead to low back pain, the causes, right? And if we look at the trajectory instead of the low back pain itself, the back, and look at the above and below joints, how we're sleeping, eating, connecting with others, it will tell us a lot. Then the other example is burnout. Right? If you look at burnout, as I mentioned earlier, that's a lagging indicator. Underneath it, let's look at causes of those lagging indicators. So the cause of burnout, is there a negative culture? Is your boss emailing you at all hours so you're not sleeping well? Is there a lack of attention? Do you offer EAP programs that less than 5% of your workforce use? That's going to cause a problem because there's no real great well-being offerings. That's actually a big problem. Nobody needs more tech in terms of their health and well-being programs. And EAP programs notoriously don't work. So if we start to really dial in the well-being of our people and ourselves in these leading indicators, we can help eliminate and prevent a lot of what you see on the surface here. So how my company does it is we have a layered approach. It can't just be all at once, because here's the thing, how to prevent injury, which is, right, those symptoms you see, those are injuries. What's the cause of them? How to prevent it, it requires a proper progression. It can't just be, if, for example, you want to get fit, right? And you've been pretty sedentary for a while, and you're like, well, I've seen some people on Instagram and they work out for 1 to 3 hours a day, and I'm going to start doing that. That's just not realistic for you if you're coming from the couch. You got to figure out what's realistic for you, and there's got to be a phased approach. And I look at it in terms of an organization or culture or even individual. You got to look at yourself over the course of the next year. Do you want to make a change in the next year and increase be better, 1% better a day, which creates like a 37 times exponential increase in betterment over the course of the year? Or do you want to get worse or stay the same? But it can't just be, it's not going to happen overnight. There are certain well-being skills that you need to take on that will take time. And if your life is chaotic like mine, with children, running a business, moving, all that stuff, activity, and making self-care a priority, you got to give yourself time and space to do it over the long haul. So the short term, we got to start making good decisions so the long term can benefit. So how my company does it is we look at the 5 key components of well-being, which you see at the bottom of the screen: sleep, movement, mindset, social support, and nutrition. And we train all of those in an organization because, again, it's how you show up and lead. Like, it'll impact how you show up for your family, how you show up to each day to enjoy each day, how you show up for your people. And believe me, if you're caring for yourself, you're going to be a happier person when you show up to work. So we teach this in four workshops, starting with the base one, number one, right? A lot of people want to start at number four. Like I mentioned, you think of, I got to meditate for an hour a day and do yoga at least 3 days a week and train, run 1 to 3 hours a day or CrossFit 7 days a week. Okay? That's maybe not realistic of a place to start. So you need to start at layer one, building awareness in these 5 key areas and how they impact you and how they impact your people. And we do this for organizations. We teach these 4-phase workshops to organizations, and usually they go once a quarter, right? To give you a chance to take on these skills, because it takes 66 to 70 days to make a habit automatic. How do you do that, right? Why are these things so important? The next layer is the reset layer. Okay, so how are we assessing ourselves now? So if we want to get to where we want to go, we want to be healthier in these 5 areas. Well, then where are we at right now? A lot of times we don't know. And even if you go to the doctor, they may not give you that information, right? So being able to assess yourself before you wreck yourself is important. So that's the reset layer. That's what that workshop is all about. Workshop number 3 in the third quarter, consistency. How do we now go from the awareness, we know where we're at, to now staying consistent with our health habits, health and well-being habits? There are hows to. We call them the Goldilocks rules. And there's different tricks and trades to make this consistent, because what happens when I think in the first month of setting goals, or actually the first week, 95% of people fall off their goals, their New Year's resolution goals. That's a lot, right? How do you stay consistent with your goals? Right? The Goldilocks rule is they can't be too big or too small. It has to be just right. And what does just right look like for you? That's what we navigate in that workshop. And then the fourth one is optimization. Now, this is where we really dial in and strengthen those 5 key well-being pieces. We get into heat, cold therapy, high intensity, low intensity training, all the kinds of things that will impact and now strengthen and have the fun about those 5 areas. And then, by the way, these 5 components of well-being can be fun to implement. They don't have to be all doom and gloom. But the optimization layer is the most fun, actually, of all 4. But you have to build that foundation first, right? So, and the optimization is also about, okay, now you've built the skill set, you know where you're at, you know how to assess yourself. Now, let's add layers and strengthen it for life, for our longevity. So if you're interested in learning more about our 4-phase workshop approach, let me know. And I hope that was helpful for some of you. All right, so we're going to wrap up here. Let's see, let me make sure. I'm going to look at notes. All right, so in the comments, what I'm going to do is add a link to, I'll give you my email, as well as a link to my Calendly if you're interested in learning more about the workshop approach and 4-phase aspect of helping you progress in your well-being so that it becomes a KPI within your organization. But if you're a leader, it's got to start with you. You are a huge social influence. People are looking at you, and it's okay to not have great days. That's the thing. I want you all to know, it's okay. It's just not okay to wear a mask if you're having a not great day, right? Just admit, today's a rough day, got stuff to do, versus hiding it, right? Let's be authentic with who we are, but let's show up as our best selves. And that best self may mean that we're not having a great day, and that's okay. So, but these 5 components of well-being are oftentimes missed in the leadership space, right? This is an HR issue. This isn't a counseling issue. This is a lifestyle, a cultural lifestyle issue within an organization. But it's got to start with you, the leader, because the self-care, healthcare can't just fall off when stress hits the fan or things hit the fan. You got to stick with it. And it's got to become a KPI in your life. Now, I don't want you to wait until you lose your health to figure this out. But that is the other problem, is that most of you will wait until things are really bad to get help. Don't wait. Do something about it. Reach out. I'd like to talk to you. And with that, that is the end of our first show, the introduction to the why. We went over our vision as Movement RX, which is to give people the knowledge and tools to live a lifetime of physical and emotional freedom. We went over some key blind spots. Well, we went over the problem of what we see, which people fall off their health when stress hits the fan. Life gets chaotic, which it is. Life is a beautiful chaos, but naturally, right, sometimes we oftentimes we crowd out self-care because it's a nice to have versus a necessity. It needs to become a necessity. How do we make it a necessity? That is the solution that my organization is solving in organizations and in families. Putting your self-care first so you can better show up. How do you do that when your life is completely chaotic? We show you how. We uncovered a couple of blind spots today, which is we don't realize that our health is contagious to those around us. Right? How we show up matters. Our actions speak louder than our words. And the other blind spot is that oftentimes we focus so much on the symptom diagnosis and not the cause. But if we really pay attention to the cause, we can help prevent a lot of those symptoms that we see, like burnout and low back pain were the examples I gave. And then finally, I went into a pyramid approach, a phased approach to how my company and I lead workshops for organizations to really dive into their well-being and the 5 components of well-being. And we do a layered approach because we want it to be sticky. The biggest cause of injury is that people progress too fast. Those injuries and symptoms we see, if a one and done workshop is fine, but if you want a comprehensive solution, right, we need a long-term approach. And usually we give it about a year, right, in how we work with organizations. But proper progression is key in your own life to prevent injury, but also in your organization to really dial things in and get to know your people. So with that, I'm going to look and see if there's any questions I can answer. Thanks for attending. All right, we've got, let me look here. Okay. So, LJ Eve, thank you, brother. This is a great program. Every other week, we are going to be doing this. And not next week, but the week after, Dr. Marissa Rescott's going to be on talking about sleep and your testosterone. Kind of important for you know what and lots of things. Let's see, Ronaldo. Yes, I found Jiu-Jitsu has been my best tool to get my mind back on that clear track. Right on. Again, whatever exercise you like to do it. It doesn't have to be a gym. I don't like going to the gym, actually. I don't. I go to a CrossFit gym and I do group classes and I work out on my own in the mountains. That's what I prefer. All right, let's see. Ronaldo. Okay, good to go. Marina, hello. Good to see you on here. Dr. Travis Hearn. I just did the Buffalo Leadership Conference with Dr. Travis, where I got to meet Chris O'Brien, woohoo, and Jason Miller from Strategic Advisory Board. Check them out, you guys. Good people. We've got Byron Coate. I hope that I'm saying that right. Byron. On fire that we, the people of our nation, need to put out is the fact that we have been led. Okay. All right. We're not going to go over that. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Byron. Not going to discuss politics on here, Byron. Okay. Aaron, hello. And then Captain Jonathan D. Carlton, hello. This looks like a very beneficial and sustainable program. Thanks for sharing. You are welcome. So, no, every Wednesday at 0900 Mountain Time, 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 11 Eastern Time, we are going to be doing this show, Your Business is Your Health, on a different topic. And we're going to leave room for Q&A. We want to hear from you how you're doing. This live will also be turned into our newsletter that will happen between the weeks we do live. All right, so going to be putting out great information. We already have a lot of great information on our website, movement-rx.com. At the top of my LinkedIn, you can see, Facebook, you can see the QR code. Go to it and check it out. Right, we've got great blogs on there for organizations and for yourself, and videos. We've done a lot of videos. All right, with that, I'm going to call it a day. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Go out and be well, and think of the one thing you got from this presentation and put it into action. Knowledge without action is just edutainment. And while I love edutainment, do something about it. You can do it. I know it's your role, your job to do something about your health. All right, with that, Dr. T from Movement RX, I will see you soon.